For a long time, we've held this theory that maybe some of the refs are a little bit biased, but we weren't really sure. We felt decisions going for our clubs weren't really fair, things were happening that were against them. We weren't sure whether they really were biased. But unfortunately this weekend, major revelations have come out that hints at a possibility that there might be more than one bad egg in the bunch. But so far, only one man's been caught Coote Out. Sorry, David. This is One Kick from Glory. We're going to talk about the massive revelations coming up. Referee David Coote, the weekend's games, our big derby match at the weekend, Arsenal-Chelsea, and obviously another international break, which no one wanted. But I thought we find the timing of the news around David Coote so very, very, very suspicious. But before we get into all of that, I'm joined as always by Matthew and Craig.
Yeah.
And we're going to start off talking about David Coote. Sniff, and you'll miss it. Well, he won't. Lots coming out. It started off with some clips of him saying some rather derogatory and offensive stuff about Liverpool's former manager and people from Liverpool in general. And of course, that has escalated into a video of him trying out the most famous and most ill-requested or ill-advised drug, you should say. Rather than getting into all that. Matthew, when you heard this news, now obviously it's not the referee you would have wanted. Not that he is a referee you would want, but there's one we can think of that's been a problem for your club. But what was your opinion or perspective when you saw that news coming out about David Coote?
He done messed up, man. He's done messed up real bad because there's a lot at stake for someone in his position, being in the Premier League and being in the FA, and to him, you're meant to be at best, as a professional courtesy as referee, number one, you got to be impartial. So it's almost as if like when you get this massive privilege to their job, it's a very hard job and an unpopular job, but it's a fun job to have. You get to run around and see all these guys playing football, high stakes games, and your professional credibility all at stake, and then to go ahead and do something stupid like that and just discredit everything you've been trained to do. It's not like he said, he just said, I don't like Liverpool. He said, I don't like Liverpool, and then some. He got personal. It's like he just went off on I don't know who he was with. I don't know how he got prompted to say it. But when you catch these guys doing the undesirable, the fallout is massive. And it's like, this could very much be the end of his career. He's never going to referee in the Premier League again. He'll be lucky to referee a pub side at this rate. These kind of things.
It's true. They won't forget it.
And you're talking about that, and right now in the area of social media in full gear, this ain't going away. No. This ain't going away. In the past, all right, he may have been able to seclude himself away from all of this and maybe kind of fade into obscurity. But in the area of social media, where everything's out for everyone to be seen, there is no such thing as privacy. They will find something if they want to. It's done right here. But worst of all, it just kind of it puts a whole, like you just said in the intro, it puts a whole lot of scrutiny and questions on top of the Premier League, the FA in England in general, and it's going to prompt so many questions of if he's saying this about Liverpool, number one, has he said this about anyone else? And number two, is there anyone else involved?
That is the big question. Is this a one-off, or is this sort of endemic of a bigger culture amongst referees? I mean, one of the things I found that's been very interesting from the back end of last season was when they started releasing the VAR conversation in the room, and you could hear when they were making decisions. And on the one hand, it was good to know what's going on, how they're talking about it. But at the same time, the way they were talking to each other, the referees, the assistants and everything, it didn't feel very professional. Everything felt very chaotic. It felt very lads club. It felt very this is you're a professional body. You're doing professional work, and there comes a point when there should be professional language used when doing your job. But I guess for you, Craig, because again, like Matthew said, it's very interesting that this is one clip. Obviously, several clips come out, but it's just him doing a bunch of stuff. And on the one hand, I do feel sorry for him because I would hate to wake up and hear he take some drastic steps because his career is effectively over. But at the same time, we have been crying out for accountability in the league with the referees for a very long time. And this might be that watershed moment that tips the balance because at the end of the day, I don't think this should be just viewed as a Liverpool problem a one referee issue. I think we all have been aggrieved. We've all suffered bad decision making, some poor referees across the board. Wolves have been robbed blind last season, somewhat this season, the season before. It's just disgusting how much they've been wronged by bad decision making. So that all being said, Craig, do you think it's a one-man thing, or do you feel like this is an insight into the bigger, badder issue of the refereeing body as a whole?
They're all corrupted. I said it. I said what I said. I'll hold on what I said, because like he might be the whistleblower for the rest of them. All of them are corrupt. All these referees in the Premier League, they're not. A lot of games in the Premier League, when I look at some of the decisions that are made in the Premier League, and you got VAR. Look at it. Let me give you an example. Look at the Euros, yeah? The Euros was very well run. You see, every decision, they went upstairs, everything was correct. They got everything correct. Offside, it's a potential red card. Everything was done properly. Come to the Premier League now, since the VAR come into fruition, it's been terrible.
But you know what? On that point, it's interesting watching the Champions League games as well, because obviously this format's changed. There's a league structure now, and there's a lot more matches happening. Every single game where VAR is involved and referees are involved in general goes smoothly. Every single match that has an issue with VAR, guess who the refs are and where they're from?
Abroad.
No, they're from England. Every Champions League game this season, in general, has been smooth. VAR calls, referee decisions, smooth. You don't even notice referees there. The games when you notice referee is when the English boys are doing it, whether it be Michael Oliver or your friend Ian Taylor, right? It's always them.
Yeah.
But the referees from every other country, even we jokingly call him Trossard's dad. When he we already recognise he looks like Trossard, but aside from that, you don't notice the referee. They just do their job.
Because they're not being biased. They're doing their job correctly. They're not make it, obviously, like with the English referees, I think they need to go watch some of the foreign matches and see how their games have been done properly. Get retrained or something, because some of the decisions have been poor. Like if Wolves get relegated this season, yeah, because of poor decisions, and poor Gary O'Neill might get sacked eventually because of the poor decisions, he would look back and say, look at the referee did this wrong, the referee did that wrong.
Yeah.
Certain game of the season should have been a penalty there last season, should have got a penalty there. There was a handball there. Someone was offside and not given. When you look at it now, you think to yourself, I'm not a Wolves fan, but I'm a football fan, so I want the game to be clean. And I don't think the game is clean. I don't think it's clean at all. I know me saying that might be controversial, but if you look at the decisions being given, look at the Chelsea-Bournemouth game. How many of your players got yellow cards in that game?
Too many to count.
And then what happened? You guys got a record fine for it, didn't you? For that game. And it goes to show, like, football should be a clean sport. And if it's not a clean sport, if these English Premier League referees are not doing their job properly, boot them all out. Start afresh. You can do that. Start afresh.
Yeah.
From the higher up, if they're not doing their job properly, goodbye. Start afresh. The
board.
Whole board. Everybody, clean it out.
Well, the biggest problem you have is that when the head of the referees was known as Man United's 12th man during his refereeing career, and he becomes the head of it, it starts there. When the former head of the PGMOL, Mike Riley, in a video segment done by Sky Sports with Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, where they were working to be linesmen, as a segment. Interestingly enough, it's very hard to find the full segment now. You can find most of it, but the very end of it's been clipped. I'll tell you why. So at the end of it now, they all sat down and I talked to Mike Riley about what they've just done and everything. Gary Neville to Mike Riley, thank you for the 50th game. Remember the 50th game?
Reyes.
Yeah.
Remember the 50th game? He said thank you for the 50th game, and the referee just smiled. I have nothing more to say.
Lundberg got fouled by Rio Ferdinand, and if VAR was available in those days, that's a straight red
Rooney
card.
dies for the penalty.
I remember that.
Second goal, fair enough, good, well worked.
Reyes got kicked left, right, and centre by Gary Neville and Philip Neville. They chopped him in half.
That Rio Ferdinand one should have been a red card, and it was given as a yellow.
Gary Neville should have been sent off.
Yeah.
For that tackle on Reyes.
Phil Neville should have been sent off.
Phil Neville should have been sent off as well.
Van Nistelrooy should have been sent off for the stamp on Ashley Cole.
I remember that.
He raked his foot down his...
We got robbed that game.
That was a war.
That was a war, that game, because I feel like they didn't want us to get the 50th game. They don't want us to be 50 games unbeaten. If all the decisions went our way, we'd have been 50 games unbeaten.
I think if we'd won that match at Old Trafford, or even
league.
drawn it,
Yeah.
we might have gone 2 seasons in a row back to back.
100%.
The momentum up to that point, we were grooving, because we ended the previous season a bit shaky. We got the win in the end. We started that 04-05 season flying.
He started good. Yeah.
We flying, and then we came. Obviously, I know Mourinho was coming in, and it would have been an interesting kind of battle. But we'll get to the battle of the bridge in a second. But we were flying, and that's the game when it kind of knocked us for 6. I think it knocked us way more. It's because it's one thing to lose, but when you have been literally kicked to shreds and beaten, it's almost like we just knew that. Well, we've got no support here.
You don't have to tell me how that feels.
Oh, you know, yeah.
Beef with Barcelona for
You've been there,
years.
so you know it.
Oh, I know perfectly well. I'm not forgetting about the 4 blind mice. They're 4. He even looks like a bloody mouse. We'll talk about that one day.
But you know what? On the refereeing thing, as a final thing, before we actually get to the bridge, because I think we've got to talk about this derby game because there's a lot to be said. Trossard, but the Arsenal fans at the bridge, I think they did a great thing. So in the match, we're kind of segueing towards it, but in the match, Havertz gets a little knock in the head, and it might have been the cut from the previous match we got in midweek in the Champions League reopened, and Oliver's telling him to get off the pitch, and Havertz is like, why? Because he can't tell that he's bleeding. He's like, you're bleeding, and he books him a yellow card, right? And the Arsenal fans, en masse, Michael Oliver, it's not about you. That's his face. He's like, what? He's like, bruv, it ain't about you. So that's my thing. Yeah. I don't get why he makes everything about himself. Like, why is it that you can't just do your job? I mean, I know he's not your worst enemy, but why is it referees can't just do their job and not try and be the star? Like you said, you're not Kalina, bruv. You ain't Pedro Kalina. You ain't got the gravitas to carry games like that.
That's what it is. I think what it is that we once prided ourselves on having, because there was a point in time where the standard of refereeing in Premier League was actually pretty good.
Yep.
If anything, and the standard was very, very high. We had some really good referees. You had Graham Poll up until the World Cup. You had, what was his name? The black guy, the bald guy.
Rennie. He went good. But I know what you mean. Terrible. I mean, he's better than Matt Bonner.
But he wasn't corrupt.
He wasn't corrupt.
He was not very good, but he weren't corrupt. Back when Mike Dean had more hair, it wasn't much of a problem. You had the Dermot, or was it Dermot?
Dermot Gallagher.
Dermot Gallagher.
He starts talking. Yeah, he was good until he started talking crap on Sky Sports. Then you had the referee who's also fifth blind mice. There's the thing on BT Sport. He's always blind. After Graham Poll, what's his name? Pete something or other? I know his name.
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his last name. Yeah.
But he appears anyway. There was a standard when it was actually pretty good. This was before the times of VAR. Of course, there were glaring omissions, but there was always a case where it was okay, where it was going to be a case where he was going to get himself better. Then you had the 12th man.
Peter Walton.
That guy.
Yeah, he was decent actually.
Yeah,
and the referee from Harrow. If you want the referee from Harrow, what's his name again? What's his name again? The head teacher. Who was the head school teacher?
Oh, David Ellery.
David Ellery. Yeah, he passed away.
There was another one who had a really bad illness, so he had to retire.
He's not dead yet, Craig. He's still alive.
Yeah,
he died. He's
not
passed away.
Ellery's alive still.
He's not refereeing. I don't know, but it just speaks wonders of how it's happened. You know, because this problem could be going on longer than we thought. We all talked about the 12th man and things like that. It's like I said, there's a lot of questions to be asked about this whole thing. Number one, who's involved, how they're involved, and question still, how long has this been going on? Because this could predate the likes of VAR, because VAR is still a fairly new thing. Then we had the goal line technology, then we're having this, then we're having that. We're constantly adapting that sport to the things that we need this so that we are sure. Sports like tennis, sports like cricket, they don't tend to make these mistakes because there's a culture, and rugby as well, there's a culture of respect, and they're communicated what's going on. You know, they understand what's going on, and they take the time to make the decision, which football does. Last year, he got it quite badly wrong because you're having football matches going on for 110 minutes.
Yeah, that was
which
outrageous.
To me is wild. But it just the biggest sport in the world has got to be getting it. You expect them to get not 100, not completely seamless, but you want to have an air of professionalism and integrity about this whole thing. So a lot of questions are going to be. This isn't over by a long shot. This is going to go on for potentially the whole season because these things always do. So I don't know. Just the standards just dropped. The Premier League's starting to look like a little bit of a joke.
I don't know what it's going to take for either the league or the clubs to make a stand and say enough is enough. Because I think, in general, I do think that football fans need to band together. I think we need to move past the tribalism. And there's been a lot of laughing earlier in the season about Arsenal's numerous red cards and blah, blah, blah. We can laugh about it all we want. But at the end of the day, precedents have been set and not followed up on. I've not seen anyone get a second yellow card like Trossard did. I've not seen anyone get a red card like Lieber did, even though there was 3 instances in that same weekend of a similar type of foul and neither of them given the red card by VAR. I've not seen a right situation happen again this season, even though we've seen multiple players kick the ball away. Multiple. And none of them have got a second yellow card for it. Not one. We need to move past tribalism about the referees. By all means, clown each other. That's fair game. But the refereeing issue, I think we all need to put our differences aside. Even if a Spurs game went wrong due to referee, we need to support each other on this issue only.
100%.
Only this issue, because fire for Spurs. But you know what I mean? So that's the main thing. But Craig, how do you think this can be resolved now going forward? Because personally, I don't know what the option is anymore.
They're gonna have to have a massive investigation. A massive, and look into all the games for the past maybe a long time. This has been happening recently, been happening for years. So they're gonna have to look into all the games, especially since VAR is coming to fruition.
That seems fair.
But I don't think it's about VAR though. This is the referee.
Wait. I mean, like all the referees need to analyze all the games that the referee made controversial decisions, and kind of investigate it. After a massive investigation, maybe not the FA, maybe FIFA needs to give a massive investigation into it. That's serious, and check if the referees are doing their job properly. And if they're not, as I said before, get rid and start again.
Well, I hear you about that, but FIFA have their own problems because
lead them are corrupt.
You know, the Club World Cup happening this year. And the format of it makes no sense to anyone. Like, the football calendar is packed as it is. Like, that should have been kept as it previously was, not making a tournament. Also, it's ironic that they invited Inter Miami, who got knocked out of the MLS Cup.
Because I'm Messi, innit?
So, I just think, I think that's very funny. But anyway, we move on.
Arsenal not in it, are they? We're not in the cup.
We would have to win the Champions League or the Europa League.
I'm not going to win league
to be in contention. Well, never say never. Never say never. But let's talk about winning or not winning. Arsenal-Chelsea, Battle of the Bridge. Kai Havertz did not score again. I mean, he had the ball in the net once and could have had the ball in the net at the end, but for his wonderful teammate forgetting that it's not all about you, mate. Craig, happy, disappointed, thoughts on the game?
Disappointed. Could have won that game, but I think the game was a game of two halves. I feel like we dominated the first half, and then when we scored the first goal, we done the same thing we done against Man City, done the same thing done against Liverpool. We sat back. We didn't go for the second or third goal, and that gave Chelsea confidence to hit us on the counter attack. Their goal was from a corner. The ball came up from a corner, from our corner, came back out. Martinelli was sleeping or not marking. None of the players were marking.
Yeah, PGMOL just ran past Martinelli into space.
He wasn't even there.
Partey was way too deep. He was in the back line.
Saliba was playing left back when he should be centre back.
Yeah.
Timber went to centre back.
Partey needed to push out.
The whole defence.
There was just no midfield.
And he had all that space to himself.
Great finish. Look, I mean, you could
have scored that. You could have scored that. I could have scored that because so much time. Yeah, so much time to hit that shot.
And he hit it sweet.
I don't know if I could have scored it, but yeah, it was a good goal.
Yeah, but look how far it was out. It was right on the court. Like,
I think it's one of those goals that I'm going to put it down to a good attacking move because he's hit it really accurately. We could argue, could the keeper done more? Should Raya have been able to get there? Maybe could have dived better. But my bigger issue is that it's Gabriel Martinelli not tracking the runner because he just lets him run off him.
Yeah.
Now you could argue, okay, but he's marking your right back. It was Gusto at the time, right? Because James didn't come on yet. You could argue he's marking him. Yeah, fair. But you've let a man run. Partey, anyway, less said about that, brother, the better. He was. I don't know who he was marking. He was just marking air. But yeah, so I think that was just very strange from us. But again, I think it's just a well-worked move. Good goal for Chelsea. Can't argue with that. But I guess for you, Matthew, just on that note, like, big game. I think going into it, you were coming into it off a good run of form. Arsenal in a very weird state at the minute where our results don't match our performances, and that's never a bad thing because usually it means it will course correct at some point. But at the same time, it's a points game, it's a results business, and we're not getting the results or the points that performances should be getting, especially the inter-game midweek. I think the previous league game, you can argue that one either way. But how do you think, going into the game, how are you looking at it, and then obviously how things transpired? How do you feel with that?
I thought we'd get a better result. I'm not gonna lie, I thought we'd get a better result, particularly coming off. I know it's against Armenian minnows at 8-0, which demonstrated one thing where the squad depth is really, really strong, and the players that are playing in. I'm just gonna go there for just a moment.
Yeah.
The players playing in that game are clearly showing they're cohesive and they're working really well. They've won pretty much bar from one every single game they've been in, and you always seem to see the same players scoring in that game because they have so much freedom in what is currently uncompetitive for them. We're only still very much in the early stages, but they're taking every single opportunity they can. They capitalize on mistakes. They take each chance they can get. They're always looking to go forward. They're having to defend when they have to defend, obviously, but they're staking a claim for what can be done when you allow them to give them a try. Remember, this is the second team we have. We got players like Mudryk, who was bought for all that money. He's now thriving in there. João Felix, he's thriving. And Nkunku, he's thriving.
I mean, it is Mudryk's level.
It is, but he's reveling in it. He's found his comfort.
True.
Like, all right, cool. You know, you can only beat what's in front of you, and he's finding it. And then every other game he's scoring. Now, this is where it comes into this game, because we're coming our league form wise. It's different. We've managed to collect so many different teams for so many different competitions. Now there is a case for when all these players are playing really, really well. They might deserve a chance to play in a game like this. And I think this was kind of our downfall in the game here. There's players in that current team right now in the league, at least for the league, who maybe have been given a bit too much time, are probably playing a little bit too much, and in many cases, living off of a game where they did really well and have not done much else.
Who would you say those players are?
A key one is Madueke. I love him.
I love him. Pocketed by Timber. Bro.
He's great. He's got a massive future ahead of him, but he's living off that hat-trick from Wolves. That was in August. Why can't someone from that third team...
I agree.
Be given some kind of a chance. All right, you run the risk of potentially losing a game, being a goal down, but these are the kind of situations you're going to find yourself in at this point in the league. You know, I'm still not convinced we're going to win. I would love to say on the off chance we will. I don't think we will. We're considerably points wise, we're actually closer to United than we are to Liverpool, which is nuts if you look at the table. So he's been given a little bit too much time. I was worried about Cole Palmer coming in off that injury, but seeing as he's not playing in the internationals gives me some. In fact, a lot of them aren't playing. That gives me some. That gives me kind of like a few there as well. Even though he's doing so well, I still think he's doing well, despite the fact he's not scoring all the time. Someone like Nicholas Jackson, he doesn't have to play all the time. He can come off at some point if it's not working. And Nkunku scoring at every chance he can get. Give him a go. João Felix as well. He's putting in a shift. But he's so electric. You see, I've never seen someone more alert. I have never seen someone like an Energizer bunny, man. The guy corners like a housefly and he's on it. And the ball's in the back of the net before you even know it. Granted, yes, I know he's playing in the Farmers League, but he's still got to do the work.
That's true.
But so there, again, we've got such good depth of players that working their potential, working to get better and better and better. I just love to see a little bit more, moving and shaking around rather than sticking with the same favourites I know that you have. So don't make that mistake. That being said, Neto comes in and scores a fantastic goal. As soon as you get it, boom, quick, done. Again, everything's happening nice and quick. And that's what I like. And that's what's kind of changed over from Pochettino. Everything seems to be happening a little bit quicker. Last year,
move it faster now.
Last year, that one, that's not happening. Potentially, we're losing that game. Potentially. But it's kind of a bit like a similar response to the Man United game where they went ahead, we capitalised. But still, it almost feels like the win was there. And how did you get your goal? I mean, and again, as a goalkeeper, there's a one golden rule. You just doesn't happen.
Don't get beat at your near post.
Don't get beat at your near post. I can get the Jubilee line in that gap, man. Come on.
You get a truck in that line as well.
I can get Stratford Station in that gap. How come on, man. Number one rule as a keeper. never at your near post, because that means you should be getting it. Should be getting it. And again, you see on the Chelsea forums and the fans, they're all looking at one area, because everyone else really and truly, I mean, it's always going to be a tough game despite the form that you're in. It's always going to be a hard game, you know, with Havertz hard. But again, it just feels, because he was Man United, the penalty, that was him. And again here, I mean,
and we did say it pre-match. Craig did say it's either going to come down to a Sanchez mistake or Arsenal defensively not being on it, right?
Both
happened. Both goals called by the same thing.
Both happened, yeah. So that maybe shows that both teams. We've got some serious. If you're looking at how the table is right now, because we're both on the same points.
Yeah.
We're 19.
19. Liverpool. You know who else is on 19 points? Just to jump in, Nottingham Forest and Brighton.
That's mad.
And you know who's on 18? Fulham, Newcastle, and Villa. It's just Liverpool are making this league look
They're
They're making this league look ridiculous.
They are, but below that, you got City on 23. It is. This is one of the most exciting top 4 races in a long time. After 11 games, you've got so many teams in contention. Maybe even Spurs are on 60. Maybe even Spurs are on 16 points. Maybe.
No, but the thing about Spurs here, one thing
and they've got City next.
Even though I'm not a fan here, they're my big rivals here. They can go to Man City and go beat Man City. You know.
You believe that?
They can do that.
Form right now.
Listen. The other day they lost against Ipswich, yeah? They go and beat Aston Villa. Who would have thought they would beat Aston Villa 4-1 at home?
That's
what I'm saying.
They get whooped at home by...
I think against the big game, the big team, they play well. And against a small team, they struggle. And that's what happened. That's the story of their season so far. Yes, didn't they beat Man United over there as well? They beat United, didn't they?
They're so Spursy.
They beat United. They beat Aston Villa. They beat Man City in the cup. And they got Man City's number as well. That's what you got to realise. Man City are not beating them. I don't know.
They got problems.
They are a team that you need to watch out for. Like, they're very unpredictable. Like, they're one game. It's like the players are hungry for the big games. Then when it comes to the small games, they're like, oh, come on,
that's a big game.
And that's a massive game.
That's a problem though if they can't motivate themselves. But I guess it does present an interesting proposition going forward, like what might happen in that match. Obviously, we saw 2 wingers get the goals at the weekend for us, Martinelli and Pedro Neto. Should they both be at the same club?
Yes. I thought Arsenal made a big mistake not getting him in the summer. I thought that he was available. I honestly, to be honest with you, I wanted either him or Elisa that went to Bayern Munich. I thought he would have been a perfect replacement for Saka. And he could play left or right, and he could play as a number 10 as well.
True.
He would have been a perfect replacement for Odegaard when he was injured if he didn't have faith in Ranieri yet. He could have rotated. He could play anywhere across that front line. And I thought Eze was available as well in the summer.
Eze was available.
But we could have got him.
We could have tried.
I don't think
he was available though.
But I thought that, I think Pedro Neto is a very good player. I always rated Pedro Neto. I always liked him at Wolves. I thought he was a very good player. The only issue against him was his injury record has been horrendous. I think at Chelsea, the way how Chelsea have managed him, it seems like he's not been injured a lot this season. It
was a risk, it was a gamble, but so far it's working.
Because when you think about it as well, the other big gamble and transfer-wise was Chiesa's Liverpool, and he hasn't touched the pitch at all. I know that they've put him on an individual training plan right now, trying to fix a lot of the longer-term issues he's had with his previous injuries. So hopefully he will touch the pitch again in January. I don't think they're too worried about him because they knew
already
the issues he had when they signed him. They were fine to kind of even take a year and say, you know, whatever, we'll just fix him for a year and have him back. But it was a gamble because of his fitness rate. But look at what he's doing on the pitch. And, you know, as the annoying Neville brother said on commentary, he was surprised Neto wasn't running more at the Arsenal back line. They run at White, and obviously White's gone and had surgery now. He's out for 10 weeks. So why did he not go at them more? Because every time he went at them, he created stuff.
He gave them trouble.
But
the question I'd like to ask Matthew, you know, with your squad right now,
good guy.
What do you see with the Chelsea squad right now? I know you got 2 or 3 squads here.
Yeah.
The biggest question is, how are you gonna keep everyone happy? Because remember, the Conference League that you're in now, that's gonna be finished by soon. And then you're gonna have the Christmas fixtures, you're gonna have all them big fixtures coming up. How are you gonna keep all your top players like João Phillips happy? I don't think Nkunku's going to be happy coming to the January transfer window if he's not playing enough minutes. How are you going to keep all these players, like you, a big name side like João Phillips, how are you going to keep them happy?
It's not so much not playing enough minutes, it's not playing in a particular place, not playing in a particular league. And, yes, right now they're our cup team. They are very much our cup team, and the whole. But you'll judge purely on what you do in the league.
Yeah.
So if I'm not going to say there's much unrest in the moment because the results speak for themselves. Europa is going fantastically. All right, Carabao didn't go our way, but there's still the FA Cup to come up as well. Still way more football. And plus, when you're playing that much football, your international teams. If you look at the list of international teams, they're getting recognised. My issue is, let's say, come after January, because I don't think any of these players are going anywhere in January. They're definitely going to get loaned out. They're either going to be sold or going to be kept. Come January, and if you don't see certain names on that Premier League list, because certain of them can, they just don't. Like someone like an Nkunku definitely could play in the Premier League, or should be playing in the Premier League. Someone like who else should be playing more in the league? João Felix. He already has. He probably scored a couple of goals in the Premier League. He should be getting a start. If you start hearing a little bit of thing and we're not starting certain Premier League games, it may be a case that someone coming around, someone can make a little bit of a move. Don't get me wrong, certain players, they can do one. Enzo Fernandez, there's nowhere for you on that team.
Chilwell's going to go in January.
Chilwell, fine. He can. I'm not one for too much nostalgia. I mean, I'm a fairly nostalgic person, but not too much nostalgia. If Chilwell wants to go, he's not part of the plan. He can go. Who else? Sterling, he weren't part of the plan. Fine with that. It's as teams, even Chelsea aside, we can't seem to be sitting on the same old laurels that we had from winning the Champions League 4 years ago. That was 4 years ago, with all due respect. Right. And that thing is, that team then has changed from the team that is now. We it's a great thing that we can have. It's a great thing that we can say, but it's not doing anyone any good if we can't
progress.
When we're not moving forward. Liverpool did that for how long? Not progressing, living off former glories, hiring back old heads for short-term gain.
It's facts, though.
True.
Facts.
It's that's just for nature in any sport, football included, especially. You don't do much. I mean, Gareth Bale came out to Spurs for a year, didn't do anything with it.
What a waste of time for everyone.
Absolute waste. They replaced Gareth Bale with Gareth Bale. He got bored and did one. Who else came back to? Even Ronaldo coming back. Didn't give him.
He did well though.
He did
scored one in his first
just
season.
Not by his standards.
He did very well. But he didn't give him a shot in the arm that they thought that they were convinced they were going to march back at the table. And if anything, they got worse after he left.
What hope did they have when they had the great Eric Ten Hag?
Yeah, and he was their best player, which tells you something. But when he left you, 15 years ago, then come back and still be a best player? Come on, man. And then look at the mess they're in right now. Granted, you don't necessarily bring anyone old back.
The only one we brought back was Thierry Henry, I can remember. Thierry Henry and Sol Campbell. It's the only two I remember bringing back.
But
that was under Wenger.
But we don't really bring back our old players back to the club in any kind of capacity. Only Edu came back as a direct CEO or whatever. We don't really bring back our ex-players. And once we sold them, they don't come back.
Yeah, I think
Not to play,
no.
I think coming back as like a backroom staff, I mean, I have no problem against that because that's them applying their trade to eventually go on to do something a little bit different. Eddie, he's gone off to
Nottingham Forest.
Maybe
potentially Nottingham Forest.
We'll find out in the summer when
Terry back in the day went to Aston Villa for a little bit, which was still quite bizarre, but he was applied to trade somewhere else. Fair enough. You don't do, You don't do too well when you sit, trying. When back there, no, it doesn't work. So yeah, but I could ask you, what about you, lot, man? Where do you see you got Champions League? You're still in the Carabao, aren't you?
Yeah.
Still in the Carabao. I was having in my mind. What does a good season look like for you?
Got to win something
this season. If we don't win anything this season, Arteta's gonna have to.
I don't think he's. I would put it this way: Arsenal need to win a major trophy this season. The Premier League is going to be a hard ask, but I think Liverpool have been as great as they've been. I think their run of games has contributed a lot to that, and we're going to see in the next 10 how well equipped they are. I still think they're in contention for the title, and I felt that way from pre-season. But we're really going to see how it's equipped there, because they've got City coming up the game after. They've got Southampton first. Should be a nice 3 points for them. And then they got Man City. So that game will give everyone a good metric to know where they really are at. If they can beat Man City, now we're talking. For me, I think right now, they're in the conversation, and the Liverpool fans should beat their chest, and I don't think there's anything that they should take away from what they're doing. But that's the game when I'm like, okay, now we're talking. As for Arsenal, we need to win a trophy. a major one. I think the league would have been great. I think we need to make a big push for Champions League. If anything, I know, Matthew, your belief is that it's going to be a smaller club will win the domestics. I would take, because of how this season's panning out, I would take the Carabao as a starting point, win that. We haven't won the FA Cup in a while. I would, it all, to me, if we don't win the league, it's all about how many points off the top one is for me. If it's another 2-pointer, I will be so vexed. But at least I would feel a bit comforted with where we are right now. But I'd be vexed considering where we were last season. It's like we've not improved from that position. Champions League, we got to get to the semis, man. We can't be doing last 16, but those days are done. Let's get to the semi. Let's at least try and get somewhere in that tournament.
That's where I think he needs to invest in January. Also, if he wants to get further in the Champions League, we need to invest. The squad is too thin.
It's not. Injuries have not helped. I don't think our squad is thin on paper. When you lay out our squad on paper, actually, it's not bad. It's just the fact that our biggest issue is the injuries we've gotten, which have been unexpected. Calafiore's injury is unexpected to us anyway. I think he had some problems in Italy, but it's just not what we wanted to see. Tomiyasu just not being able to stay fit, and when he gets fit, it's national week and he gets injured again. That is a big problem. We can't have that anymore.
So what would you, if in a worst case scenario, if January offer comes for Tomiyasu, me personally, if I get decent money for him, I'll ship him off. And Tierney as well.
So Tierney will be gone regardless because he's not really in the plans. As for Tomiyasu, I think the problem is we need to replace him anyway. Because Ben White won't be fit.
Yeah. So
we'll need to replace him. Right now, Calafiore, we're hoping we'll be back end of November. So Timber's going to have to play a lot of football between now and then. We're going to need Kivior to get up to speed and fast. Because we're going to, Zinchenko needs to, there's a lot of players that are around the squad that are going to step up now and take on minutes. But the big thing for me is in the attack. Jesus, he's only 26,
26?
He's only 26.
Well, man felt like he's a 40-year-old Clive.
So my big thing is I want to see the Jesus when we first signed him, the Jesus that's bringing back the Palmeiras football, the guy that was dropping the shot, the jinky me jink, the dribbling, the one that Ronaldo said he's like me. I want that guy to come back, and he's not gone. I don't think the player's physically gone. I think a lot happened with the World Cup injury. I think a lot has happened I think because it was a big World Cup. He went into that World Cup injured, got a big injury off the back of it, had bad performances, and then psychologically he's not recovered from it. Go see a shrink. Well, sort out your. We need him because Havertz, as much as he's, people like him up front, he's not the answer in every game.
No, it's not.
And he does well, but he's not the answer in every game. I like what's shaping up now with Marino integrating, getting more used to it, and Martinelli starting to get a bit more freer. But even Martinelli, bro, I need 10 goals from him this year.
He needs to step up more. Because the thing is, you see what Chelsea did to Saka on Saturday? You see what Chelsea did to Saka, yeah? How
they clamped him now.
Clamped him. That's why Martinelli got his goal, because they were going on Saka, they were clamping Saka, and Martinelli was more free. Against Gusto, Martinelli had a chance against him. So in some games, Saka's going to get marked out of the game. The Martinelli to step up and get goals. Same with Trossard. More goals. Same with Trossard when he comes to the bench, has to score goals. Could have won that game if he didn't mess up there.
It might have been offside though. But for me, I'd rather the ball go in the back of the net.
At least you know.
Then we'll know definitively.
Mikel Marino was his best game against Chelsea. That's his best game. His best ever game. I saw him getting the ball doing 360 turns and all that kind of stuff. He did well. I want to see more from him as well. I know there's a player in there, but I want to see more. Partey I think this is Partey's best season at Arsenal.
It is, but I think we need to pick our best midfield three now.
Yeah.
No, let me put it this way. I think we need to work out what combination you want to have in what type of games. So I think it works well.
Yeah.
And obviously I think Rice's injury meant that we got to see Partey at the 6 and then, Marino came from Rice in the 8. But in general, I think we need to, now Odegaard's back, that's one position settled. We need to get the other two, figure out who we're going to build with, and then work it in blocks.
And I'll ask you a question as well, like Sterling as well. Like I don't think the loan as well. I know it's still early doors here, but I was reading the other day that Arteta's not really happy with him at the moment. He said he's not got up to speed of how we play, and they're not really happy. I don't know if they're going to terminate that loan. I'm not sure if they're going to terminate that loan.
We won't. I don't think we'll terminate it, but I think at the end of the day, it's difficult because, like, with all due respect, he came from chaos. And now you're trying to make him play in a system which is very detailed orientated. There's a lot of work on and off the ball. And he's not quite there. But then when you watch him live, I also think our players are not in tune with what he's doing because that guy makes little runs, little drop shots, and he's not getting the passes yet. So everyone needs to adapt. But on that note, Matthew, when you look at the Arsenal squad, what's one area that you think, or even two areas you think, okay, these are two areas Arsenal need to upgrade in January and fast?
Big one up front.
Yeah.
Without even going a shadow of that, you need a guy who's going to get you at minimum best 15 goals. Because Haaland, right, the game didn't work on the weekend, but he's nearly on 15 now.
Yeah.
And they're only 5 points off of Liverpool. Liverpool have a bad result, and Man City get 2 good results. They're back in the picture.
That's it.
You've also got to look at the likes of, say, Solanke gets in on the goals, keeps them competitive. Chris Wood, up until the game against Newcastle, scoring every other game, and those goals, they matter, they count.
He is proper annoying, that Chris Wood, because when we need him to do the business, he doesn't show up.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, he's now in a hot streak.
Yeah, he's a flavour, and he's an assistant that really. I'm not saying he has a ceiling. He has a ceiling. He's not going to be, Premier League competing sort of thing, but he's at a level where he's actually happy and actually make good. Going to make good for the team. Same thing with Alexander Isak. The guy I think you should be going for is Isak.
Well, his contract talk to Newcastle is not going anywhere, so that's interesting. But he's got a deal till 2028. So we're going to have to pay big money to get him.
100 million, over 100 million for the one.
It depends on how much you want to have that gamble of bringing him in, knowing full well he can get 15 goals in the season because he's done it. How willing are you? How serious is that board of gambling it, risking it, making a bold move, because it is a bold move, to go ahead? You've already done it with the likes of Rice. You've already done it with Havertz.
Yeah.
You're clearly late the last few seasons not worried about making those big moves. You've done it for a midfielder. You've done it for, technically 2 midfielders. And your defense is more or less kind of solid. Do it up front.
But you know what's really interesting? Because I was hearing this point made across a few podcasts recently that actually got me thinking back to the summer. Do you guys not find it weird that no big team in the league has made a big money purchase this summer? Like no one did.
I noticed that.
None of them have done. Man City haven't.
Chelsea.
They've only got Haaland. They've got no
backup
striker.
Yep.
Man United, no big business. Arsenal, no business. Chelsea, no big. Like everyone, none of them have spent big money this summer. It's weird. It's like they know something we don't know.
We're gonna find out. It'll come out eventually. I feel like I don't know if it's Arsenal had the financial fair play thing.
I know we had to do 1 in, 1 out, which is because we had. I don't think we were at the. I think we were close to the limit. I think we had a buffer, but we couldn't have done like £80 million on one player. We had to kind of move money around. But I do find it strange that no one pulled the trigger.
It's true, Matthew.
Not one.
It's true, isn't it?
Not one big signing this summer from any of the big teams.
It does definitely have something to do with financial fair play, but I also think it has something to do with the fact that big marquee signings are just not. They're just in terms of not so much of it not working, but in terms of football, it's a bit of an out of touch look. I mean, you think about, look at Mbappe right now. Granted, he was on a free in terms of transfer fees, but he's now finding out just how hard it is to be over there. Harry Kane had a record-breaking season last year at Bayern, and
then one diddly squat.
And then one diddly nutting. Leverkusen absolutely ran the show.
Love it.
With respect to, say, Haaland, who's now won 2 Premier League titles, he's the exception. But if you look across the board, look at a team like Barcelona who thrived on having a marquee player. They're slowly working their way back up and taking the league by storm. And they don't necessarily have anyone marquee.
They're also broke.
They're broke.
They had to sell to register. So they got Dani Olmo and they had to sell to register him.
Yeah, and they're getting a new stadium. And they took Real Madrid to the cleaners not long ago.
Yep.
You have the closest thing to a marquee player you have is Saka.
He's our marquee player.
He's your marquee player.
And
He's systematic
and Saliba.
Yeah, exactly.
Put some respect on our name, but only player.
You got a few. Ours is Cole Palmer. Ours is Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
But they're very much what I'm thinking is how they play in the team is that, and it got me thinking. It always gets me thinking where it's like it's no longer about just a player, it's the whole team because the whole team has to do everything. For all you know, if they wanted to, the goalkeeper will be on the DMs line if they really wanted to.
True.
It'd be chaos. And also it's vulgar, the spending of the money, and they want to be corporately responsible. And the Man City 115 charges is not a good, it's not a good look. And other leagues just don't necessarily operate like that. PSG tried it and they had nothing to show for it apart from the Liga Unzoga, the win anyway.
And I like how they've rebuilt their project and they made it based around more young French players with very promising, talented overseas players and a couple of older, experienced players. Like they got like Marco Asensio is an older kind of player, still in his 20s, but at the back end of it.
Dembele as well.
Dembele, older, experienced French player. Then other players, they got Barcola, they got Deary. All younger French players, so I like what they're doing.
They're remembering. They've gone through their fashion age where all these people wearing all their garments for whatever reason. I don't know why, but they're remembering they're a football club. They're going to start there and doing the football. So maybe they've realised something that we realised a few years ago, where there's evidence and there's progress in youth, and you don't have to spend millions upon millions to get all these players. So it could have something to do with that. But going back to another player, and speaking of Saka. Another position you need is that you need someone to deputise for him when you don't need him, because he doesn't need to necessarily play every single game, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be shorthand when he's not there. Certain Champions League games, FA Cup games, League Cup games, he doesn't need to be there, and to respect even some Premier League games, because all that's going to happen is as soon as you marshal a certain player, it makes your lives sometimes a little bit more difficult. Someone needs to come in. In fact, there'll be the two signings I'll be looking. Is someone to deputise for Saka and a striker. You could find yourselves being that little bit more competitive, not straight away, but fairly soon-ish. I mean, you said like Elise.
We've been competitive the last two. I'm just going to jump. We've been competitive the last 2 seasons. We're just going for a bit of a blip.
But where's the trophy?
But it's not. But we've been in the conversation. We've just been up against one of the hardest teams to match in Man City, who are an absolute monster of a beast. Have we fallen short? Yes. Have we failed? Yes. Have we progressed? Yes. Have we bottled it? We can argue that.
You got 6 months.
We got work to do.
You got 6 months.
Not arguing against that. My thing is, on that kind of note, in terms of this Arsenal project, I think now Edu's gone. I do remember the articles that came out post Bayern Munich defeat, the board review about the type of player we need to sign, that game breaker, that player that can make a difference. The summer went and all that came in was Sterling from an attacking point of view. That is really disappointing. Because it's disappointing because at the end of the day, you can't brief the press about what the club needs and then not deliver on it. Now, ideally, if Sterling was able to turn back the clock and rediscover the form that we all know he's capable of, then that conversation might look a bit different. It might look a bit different. Because then you can say, okay, this guy's on fire. We can rest Saka now. We can put Saka on the bench because at least we've got someone that can push him. He's not there right now. He's doing okay-ish in the games he plays. He's doing okay-ish, a 6.5 out of 10. And I'm being a bit generous. But it's not. We need a 7.5 and 8 out of 10 guy
on a regular.
To replace, consistency.
Yeah.
We need a Nacho Monreal in midfield. 7 out of 10 every time. You know what you're gonna get.
I know what you mean.
That's what we need. Or a Cazorla type player from the wing, right? Or even a Rosicky, a player that can come on and they just make things happen. They don't always score, but they raise the tempo. They move the ball around. We don't have that in our squad right now, and that's a problem. And guys like Trossard, who I don't know why he put his big whatever size boot there when the ball was played across. Man, just leave it. Also, I don't know why Havertz is not screaming at his head. I'd have been like, leave the ball! My ball! I'd have been screaming. Forget falling on the ground when he missed that chance. If I screamed for it, and he didn't scream for it. If I had screamed for it, and you still put that ball wide, I'm slapping your head top.
After the game, I'll grip you up in the changing room.
After the game. I'm just walking up and being like, Leo.
So that's some sense into him, man. Bam.
I'm right here. And it's not about being angry. It's more a case of this means something.
Of course.
I'm at my old patch. These lot been giving me grief because I scored 2 against them last season. They're giving me grief. I want to show them that. Like, I don't like them either. Shout out to Havertz.
Pablo 7.
Anyway, let's look ahead to what's coming up next. We've got an international break. Yay. No one cares. Moving on. Except for Harry Kane, who has a lot to say in the press. Bruv, when you win a trophy, you can talk, innit? So, let's talk about the upcoming fixtures. Let's do some predictions. Let's see what we're thinking. Starting off with the big one on Saturday night, or Saturday morning, afternoonish time. Midday, 12:30, Leicester versus Chelsea.
3-1.
3-1 to Leicester?
No.
Just joking.
Nah.
3-1 Chelsea?
Vardy gets a goal, why not?
All right, Craig?
2-1 Chelsea.
Yeah, I see Chelsea win. Arsenal, Nottingham Forest at the Emirates.
The Emirates, I thought it was away.
No, it's at the Emirates. 3:00.
3-1 Arsenal win.
2-1 Arsenal win.
We got a win, so I'm calling a win. Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace.
Aston Villa win.
Aston Villa win, but a close one.
I think Palace are going to find something, you know.
You've been saying that for a long time now, Clive.
And eventually I'll be right. I'll be right. Listen, Palace, I'm with you. Eventually it will bang. So just I'm sticking with you too.
I'm
not
realist. I
giving
love
up.
Palace. Don't get it twisted, but bro, right now they're struggling, man. Like Aston Villa, they need to bounce back.
They're
2 defeats in
struggling.
a row. They need to bounce back.
I think they'll find it. I think you guys will be all right. Bournemouth versus Brighton.
Ooh, that's a hard one. 2-2 draw. Desmond.
That's a nasty one, you know. Bournemouth, Brighton.
Desmond. That's a Desmond.
And it's a
right
Bournemouth at home, right?
Yeah.
I'm still going. I'm going for a Brighton win. 2-1 Brighton.
I'm back Bournemouth at home, you know. I just think they might have something for them. Everton, Brentford.
Brentford.
At Goodison.
Funny one.
Brentford.
I think Brentford. They're getting their gear back.
Where are Everton? Everton are 16th in the table, 10 points. They might. Okay, I'll go for a draw. Fulham versus Wolves.
Fulham.
Yeah, sorry, Wolves. Fulham.
Fulham are in great form.
And that guy's in good form. What's his name? Wilson.
Harry Wilson.
Harry
Came off the
Wilson.
bench again and scored the last
two games in a row.
3 goals in 2 games.
Yep.
So and Smith Rowe is cooking and Nelson is cooking.
Yep.
When they come from? Arsenal.
And we're not cooking.
And we're not.
Man City versus Tottenham at the Etihad.
You know what, yeah?
Go on.
I got a funny feeling that Tottenham are going to beat Man City, you know? You know why I say this? Because every time Tottenham...
So Man City will lose 5 games in a row.
Have you seen their form?
Go on.
I think Tottenham are going to win. I'm going to go for a away win.
But I think, man, I was eventually going to say that, but I can just see
It's unprecedented.
this
though.
is the game they bounce back. This is where they find their mojo.
We'll see.
Do you think they'll smash Tottenham?
They won't smash them, but it'll be like a 2-0. But not a bad 2-0.
If Tottenham win and Son Heung-min scores a goal in a similar chance to last season, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it on this podcast next week. Mark my words. If Son Heung-min scores a goal, a breakaway goal, like the chance he had last season, hide your kids, hide your wife. Explicit language. That's all I have to say. I'm going to lose it. Southampton, Liverpool.
Liverpool win.
St. Mary's.
Liverpool win.
We don't think Southampton might just be like, hey, lads, we could do something.
No, I mean...
Look, Ramsdale performs in these big games, you know, and there's a lot of pressure on.
In the away ones, he does. He likes the away camaraderie. He's that kind of guy. But
Southampton are just...
Obviously, I'm sorry. Do you know FIFA? When he got Champions League, got Premier League, yeah. And when he end of the season, when you get relegated and you come back up, I just wish Leeds could have swapped in January. Could swap Leeds and Southampton.
Leeds would have been so much better.
Leeds are cooked in this Premier League, man.
So
Leeds are
much
cooked in
better.
this league. I'm telling you, Leeds are cooked this season, man.
Leeds get promoted, all
I want
right?
Leeds to get promoted this season. I like Leeds, man. I got a soft spot for them, man.
Get promoted. And
I need Leeds to come back up, man.
And QPR just
Get promoted as well. If they can.
Well, I mean, I'm going with the consensus. I think Liverpool have got 3 points there. But you never know in football. Southampton might pull off a cheeky 1-0 draw. 1-1.
Like doing Nottingham Forest against them, yeah. Like Nottingham Forest against them last time.
Ipswich versus Ruben Amorim's Manchester United.
Bugger.
McKenna is at home with Ipswich.
I think it's going to be a draw, you know.
And he's just won his first game.
Just beat against Spurs. They got momentum. They'll be excited
I
for
think
it.
it's going to be a draw.
Against a club that he could have gone to in the summer. Chose to stay.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a draw.
Draw?
I think a draw.
We may not get a win.
Amorim's first game, he'll want to start off in style. But wouldn't it be ironic if they lost?
I'd laugh.
I would laugh.
That would say so much.
You know, winning their last game with Van Nistelrooy and then their first game, new manager losing, that would be so funny. But I don't see it happening. And then Newcastle versus West Ham United to wrap up the weekend's games.
Newcastle win.
Newcastle win. They're on
West Ham are struggling.
Look, West Ham, yeah, not impersonal, but you don't need to sort it out. You just need to sort it out.
Sack the manager is terrible.
I don't know what's gone wrong with them.
It's the manager.
Weird.
It's the manager, Clive. He was Spain manager, did well at Spain. Then he went to Real Madrid, got sacked. Then he went to Sevilla, won the Europa League with Sevilla. Then he comes to England with Wolves and struggles at Wolves. He's not good for the Premier League. Simple as that. He's not a good manager.
And a lot of fans didn't. And a lot of
A lot of fans didn't want him anyway. They wanted Almiron that went to Man United was supposed to go to West Ham.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in the negotiations. Or else he would have been a West Ham manager now.
That would have been a better shout as well.
Almiron would have been a better manager.
They could have got Gyökeres as well. Imagine Gyökeres in the West Ham team. Gyökeres and Antonio rotate.
Four.
That's what I'm saying. Is that what I mean, Matthew?
They could have been. I think West Ham could have been cooking this season.
You know what I'm saying, bro?
They got full
in the
crook.
top 4.
They got full crook.
Roadcrook's been a flop this season, man.
I mean, it's difficult. You got to adapt to a new league and whatever. But yeah, it's not happening.
It's not
for West Ham.
looking good,
He's
bro.
31 years old, Clive. He's not going to get any better. So
He'll adapt. He'll get goals for them. He'll get 6 in the league.
The German striker did well in the Euros.
He's
He'll
21.
get 6 in the league.
He's
31.
31 years old.
He'll get 6 in the
He ain't
league.
going to get better. He ain't going to get any better. They should have gone for a younger striker, to be honest with you.
Look, I think West Ham made a smart signing. It's not worked out so far, but give them time. I mean, Somerville.
He's
baller.
cooking.
I would
He's
take
cooking.
him at the carpet as a project.
He did. He was the top scorer. I think he was the top scorer in the championship last season.
Yeah.
He was cooking. Every game I
Yeah.
watched him in the championship last season, he was scoring goals for
yeah.
fun.
But them losing that game against Southampton was the worst thing because as soon as that happened, you knew he
You
was
knew
gone.
him.
Archie
John
Gray
Marito.
went.
Yeah.
Archie Gray went to Tottenham.
Yeah, they lost Ritter. They lost Gray. Yeah, it's a lot.
They're on the right side of the championship this year. Again, they're putting their name in there, so they just need to get promoted.
They need to get automatic promotion. None of this playoff nonsense.
None of this playoff
man.
crap.
Automatic.
Get it done.
Who's top of the championship? I think it's Sheffield United, isn't it? Or Burnley. One of them.
I think it was Sunderland at one point.
Oh, Sunderland, sorry.
Sunderland are up there. Leeds are there.
Leeds are second or third, I
Burnley
think.
are there. The typical championship bullies. I actually can't remember. I just know the QPR are last.
Yeah, I know they're bottom of the table.
I just know
man.
that.
They're struggling.
Sunderland are top. Sheffield United are second and Leeds are third. So it's 31 points Sunderland and Sheffield both have, and Leeds have 29,
So if they win the next game, they go second, yeah? Leeds.
depending on other results.
All the results, yeah.
Yeah, we've got Leeds. So we've got Leeds in there.
Oh, Josh Madger's back in the... Oh, he's at West Brom. I'm happy for that guy.
But
He's
who's
a goal
top 6? So
scorer.
you've got Sunderland, Sheffield
Sunderland,
United.
Sheffield, Leeds, Burnley, West Brom, and then Watford.
So two teams I like to see back. 2 teams.
Who's that?
Leeds and
QPR.
Sunderland, right?
Watford.
Leeds and Watford. Watford in your house, isn't it?
Watford's on my doorstep. Watford, Chelsea, cheeky little game.
Where's QPR? Bro, they're bottom of the chart.
I told you, man.
Hey, we were bigging them up a couple months. Oh, come on. Hey, QPR, man. Sort it out.
They sold Chris Willock in the summer. They struggled, man.
They sold a lot of their players.
Their best players.
And they just
Begovic got sold as well.
out.
Or left on a free
man.
transfer.
Shout out to the QPR fans, though, man. You are loyal, man. You lot are loyal.
This is tough times, man.
I think QPR and Arsenal fans can relate in certain ways. Like
No.
our team has struggled, like when it comes to winning major trophies.
No,
and
mate.
get, what?
No.
Nah,
No.
You lot can at least score.
Yeah.
they can't.
They can't do much of nothing, mate. I feel for him. I feel for the fans.
They have scored 12 goals this season and conceded 25. That's
conceded
rough.
double.
They've only won 1 match so far. 7 draws and 7 defeats.
How many points are they
10.
away from the out of the relegation? So how many points they need to get out of the relegation?
5.
So they need to win 5 games on the trot.
No, they just need to win 2 games. They're on 10. They got 10 points. They're out of it.
No,
15.
to be comfortable, they need 5 wins to be comfortable.
Just take 1 win. Let's just start
Let's
with
just
the first.
get one win.
And then let's go from there. 3 draws and then 2 defeats is their last 5 games. It's tough. But the funny thing with the championship is we could blink and be in February looking at it and they could be top. They could be 8th.
It could be
It can change. They just need to go on a run. But
I don't know if the owners are really backing them anymore, like how they backed them back in the day when they were backing them with loads of money when they were in the Premier League. You remember in the Premier League they were backing them?
remember that.
that was a long
money.
time ago.
I don't know if they're really backing them with
We
signings
all know
anymore.
that they made some bad decisions back then.
Bad decisions.
Very bad.
That's a story for another day.
Don't say Mark Hughes around them because they'll get angry.
They'll beat you up.
Anyway, we'll see how things transpire. Hopefully the Premier League gets some backbone, have some accountability, and accept the fact that the refereeing system is not working. As for David Coote, I really do wish you get all the help you need. Obviously your career is done, but maybe you could reinvent yourself as a like a motivational speaker about the highs and lows of professional football. Or maybe your VAR job might work for you. Anyway, that's us signing off for this week.
Peace.
Hey.